Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on my channel. This week we're going to be continuing the cardboard castle build. If you don't know what that is, I talk more about it in my last video, which I'll link above somewhere up here. Long story short, a part of Bentley House Mini's Patreon, and in that we're doing like a project together but apart kind of situation. And I just hit my hot light. In this week's video, I'm gonna be working on the stairs that I made last week. So again, if you wanna see that, you can go ahead and click on the link and I'm going to be painting them. I am following a tutorial by Queen City Minis. I watched a couple different tutorials, but hers was the one that I liked the most on how to make the stone, paint the stone, make it look like stone. So that is the one that I will be following today. So I will link that tutorial below. I'm not gonna give in-depth on how I do it. I'll touch here and there and my voiceover on things I did, but I'm not gonna just recreate the whole tutorial for you. So if you wanna watch it, if you wanna figure out what I'm doing in full and why, click the link below, go watch her video. It's totally worth the watch. It's a short video, it's like 8 minutes. It's shorter than my video. So go ahead and watch that video. You'll learn how to make this. I don't want this to take too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and just flip right over and let's get started on this project. As I said at the beginning, this is a Queen City Minis tutorial, and really her video was invaluable. It really helped me out a lot. I did struggle a little bit, but I will go into why that was my fault and not hers. I had actually been saving up these egg cartons as well as drink carriers that you get from like fast food places, and I had so many of these. They were everywhere. It was like I was hoarding trash, but really, if you can't make miniatures out of trash, you know, I feel like you gotta learn. I feel like you gotta learn how to make miniatures out of trash, right? It's good for many reasons, but I had so many of them, and I was really worried that I wasn't gonna have enough to fill up the whole room. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I have plenty. Yeah, as you'll see in next week's video, I have run out. I did not run out while making the stairs, but I started doing the floor and the walls, which you'll see in next week's video. And also, you can kind of see at the beginning of this video, I realized the castle was in the background, and I just forgot to move it. So you can see a little bit of a sneak peek if you want at the beginning of the video. But basically, if you're gonna do something like this and you're gonna do a large scale project, you're gonna need a lot of egg cartons. For her project, she did a mantelpiece, I believe it was, for a chimney, and you need way less for that. But word of warning here, if you're doing this, be careful, because these pieces that have black words written on them, I had to scrape off with a pair of scissors, because when I painted it, you could still see the words through it. Just a word of warning that if you're going to do this, you need to get rid of the words. I slowed it down here so you could get more of an idea of what I'm doing. One thing I should have done is I should have made it so the corrugation was all facing the shorter side of the stairs, because on one layer the corrugation's facing the front. You can kind of see it when I am trying to glue the pieces on. Even after I glue the pieces on and I fold them over, between the pieces where the grout goes, you can see the corrugation from the cardboard. So if you're gonna do this, just make sure your corrugation is all facing the same direction. Otherwise, you may run into this problem. I ended up covering it up, and I'm also doing an abandoned one, so if there were holes, it wouldn't really matter. But just something to keep in mind, that the corrugation may show depending on direction and all that good stuff. Something I tried to do when laying down my stone pieces, both in this video and next week's video, is I tried to use different textures, because even though it was all stone, I thought like maybe in a castle, the stone would be different, maybe from different quarries or something. So what I did is I mixed up the drink carrier ones and different egg cartons. For instance, if I get them at Trader Joe's or Target or Amazon grocery delivery, no matter where I get it, the egg carton cardboard pieces always look slightly different. They're always slightly different textured. So what I tried to do is I tried to mix them all up, so that way the texture really varied. And I think that really came in handy when it came time for dry brushing, which you'll see later, because it picks up different high points on each piece. Something else to do if you have that option, if you buy eggs from different places. I was hunting for the cheapest prices because, you know, recently eggs have been like gold. So I've been hunting for cheaper prices. That came in handy though, because I got all the different textures, which I really like. The thing I disliked the most though was the drink carriers. I feel like I didn't get as much surface area to work with because there's not as many flat pieces on it. While I did like the texture, I didn't get a lot of pieces out of it, and I felt like a waste. Well, it was a waste either way. They gave it to me when I didn't want it, so I guess I'm at least using part of it, but I did keep some other pieces from it to use in other ways later. As you can see here, this is the stairs once I had them completely covered. I really loved how it was looking, and I was really excited to get started. These are the colors I did for the wash, which are the same colors that Queen City Minis did. And that means it is now time for a small story time. I've always loved miniatures since I was a kid. I used to go to the train store, the model train store with my dad, and we used to look at the setup they had, and I always loved them. However, as I got older, I got really into writing. I was a creative writing major in college. When I graduated college, I got a job with my degree doing nothing that had anything to do with creative stuff. So because of that, I would focus a lot of my time and energy on writing, and I just got back into miniatures in the last few years. My issue, though, is that I am really bad at color theory. I am really bad at matching colors. I'm really bad at mixing colors to get other colors. I'm really bad at washes, at dry brushing. This is something that I struggle with all the time. My dry brushing, honestly, dry brushing is my arch nemesis. I love the way things looked when they're dry brushed, but I hate dry brushing things myself. I'm very bad at it. And what I learned through this is that I'm also really bad at just color in general. I don't know what it is, but I struggled so hard to get this to look like anything. And it's something that I'm trying to learn about and get better with, you know, the color wheel and all that stuff. But it's something that I really struggled with, and it's just something that I wanted to bring up because I think that some people, when they're not good at something or they don't know something, like I don't know color theory very well, that they may hold them back from doing something that they like. But as you can see here, I'm not very good at it, but I still am making miniatures because I know that over time it is something I can learn and get better at. So like here, it looks like baby poop and baby food mixed together. I'm not gonna lie, hers, Queen City Minis, looked so good at this point. Mine did not. This is when I finished, and again, it looked better, but it wasn't great. I just think that if we're not great at something, but it's something that we enjoy doing, that we want to get better at, that we should not let it hinder us. If you want to do things like miniatures, but you don't know what you're doing, or you're not good at it, or you think you're not good at it, don't stress. You'll learn over time. Just jump in, feet first. Now, having said that, it took me a very long time to get where I was with these stairs at the end. Did it take me longer than it would other people? Probably. Some people probably would have done this in like 15 minutes. Did it take me a very long time? Yes, it did. But I'm okay with that because I'm learning, and you know, it is what it is. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that I wanted to use mostly recycled material for this project. However, when I was following the tutorial for this, I knew that it would not be possible for me to do this with anything I had. So I needed to go out and get what was mentioned. So I did end up buying plaster of Paris. This is a big bucket because I'm going to end up needing a lot of it for this project. So I figured I'd just go ahead and get the most amount, and if I have anything left over, I can use it for another project, because this seems pretty, like I could use it for other things. I have other projects in mind that I think I could use this for. For all transparency's sake, I would like to keep track of how much money I'm spending on this project. So far, I did use it. This was $8 originally, but I used a 40% off coupon, and then with taxes, it ended up being $5.23. I'm looking at the receipt over here. So that's how much I spent on this for this whole thing, 4 pounds of it, and I'm gonna keep track over this project. So far, I've spent $5.23 on this. I'm not gonna count the cardboard because I didn't buy the cardboard. It came wrapped in other products I was already buying for my house, like the treadmill and the toilet paper, and then I used paper towel rolls and junk mail. I feel like that stuff is not stuff I went out of my way to buy, where this I did. So we're at $5.23 for this project so far. I know there's at least one other thing I'm going to need to buy, but that's not gonna be in this video. Let's try and get this project as cheap as possible. Well, I'm not gonna go into detail on how to do this tutorial. Like I said, go watch the tutorial video if you wanna know how. I will say that when you're doing this part, make sure you're wearing a mask, because this plaster of Paris, I don't know the toxicity of it, but I'm sure this fine powder that causes little plumes in the air is not good to breathe in. Anything that causes a little plume in the air is probably not good to breathe in. So I did wear a mask. Obviously you can't see my face, but I am wearing a mask here. Smoothing it around was kind of strange because it felt like chalk dust. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was a strange material to work with that I have never worked with before. I ended up using some of it to patch some holes in my apartment, but I probably bought way too much because I thought I was gonna need all this. Turns out 4 pounds of plaster of Paris is a lot of plaster of Paris. Okay, so I believe that what I did was user error. I don't think I may have followed this correctly. I don't know, I like some parts of it, but I obviously smeared some of the plaster of Paris and then the glue dried gluey, which is weird because I used tacky glue. Usually it dries clear. So as you can see over here, it's kind of messed up. But I think this is my fault because in the video, the tutorial video, she says that it works best in small grout lines, which I did not realize until I was rewatching it and I noticed that my grout lines are pretty big. So I think that is definitely my fault. And then also, I didn't know how this was gonna work on steps. I knew that it was gonna be difficult because it's not flat and I was gonna have to try and get all the different, it was kind of a mess, to be honest. I like how the parts turned out that did do it correctly. So I am going to continue using that tutorial to do the rest of it. I just think that this part needs some cleaning up. Yeah, because I keep trying to clean it with a wet paper towel, but the white on top keeps showing up, which is fine because it's not supposed to be perfect anyway. So I think that in the end it will look good because I'm gonna cover it in moss and stuff anyway. And I do plan on doing a wash on this because I don't want the grout lines to be so white. So I think I'm gonna do a brown wash over all of this anyway. I'm gonna do that next. And then we'll see how it looks. Yeah. Well, let's do that and then we'll come back and I'll let you know my final thoughts on this process. Let's do that. As I said earlier in the video, not very good at color theory. Washes is another thing that I'm not great at. Along with the dry brushing and the color matching and just anything with color. Unless it's a really solid color swatch or one that I can get right out of a bottle, not the greatest at it. So this, while was a good idea in my head, I don't know how it turned out. And also, something I didn't think about is that I probably didn't wait long enough because if the plaster of Paris in between the cracks was not dry, when I watered it down, a lot of the grout just disintegrated, basically. This is an issue I have in my next video as well, that I think I'm too impatient. And even though I used isopropyl alcohol to get the glue mixture to seep in, I think maybe I did not wait long enough. And that is, again, user error. Okay, so I did the brown wash on the grout, and I'm not gonna lie, it did not stick very well because I forgot that I'm sorry, I don't wanna put my hands in paint again. I'm wearing a sweater and I don't wanna ruin it. But I forgot that when I sprayed it with watered down glue, which means that there's gonna be a hard surface that the glue will not be able to penetrate. I mean, the paint will not be able to penetrate. So the brown kind of worked, kind of didn't. It kind of browned it down. But what I decided to do was take a very light coating of black paint, like a dry brush black paint. I did very small amounts and put it in the crevices. Now I'm gonna flip you around in a second so you can see this up close, but I do really like how this ended up turning out. There's always an ugly stage of miniatures, as a lot of miniaturists will tell you, and it was definitely not the greatest earlier, and now I'm really happy with how it turned out. So let me go ahead and turn you around and show you close up so you can see better, because I'm happy with it. So here it is close up. It's supposed to be old and run down, so it's not gonna look perfect. I like actually that the grout is not too filled in. In some parts it's not filled in at all, because originally I was thinking about digging some out with an X-Acto knife to show like maybe it had been run down over the years, over the hundreds of years where it was sitting empty. So I really like how it ended up turning out. I think the black in some of the grout lines really helped the shadowing. This light's a little harsh. That's much better. Now you can see it better. So my only concern is it looks a little bit like temple steps to maybe an Aztec temple miniature. That's kind of, or it kind of reminds me of Legends of the Hidden Temple, if you know what that show is. So I think that it'll be fine once it's in the whole thing and I can get all of it together. Trying to shine my OT light in the correct direction so you can get a little bit of light in here. But this is what it's looking like in this space. So when I zoom out, it's in here, it's looking good. I'm happy with it. My only concern is this was very time consuming and I have to do it on all of these surfaces. I have to do it on this, I have to do it on this, I have to do it on the roof. This may take a while, but I think that once all of it looks like this will look less like Legends of the Hidden Temple and more castle-y. Especially once I have a throne on it. I want to do stained glass windows that are broken and, tapestries and tables and all kinds of stuff. So I'm hoping that it'll look less Legends of the Hidden Temple and more castle. Overall, I think that it was a very good tutorial. I'll make sure it's linked below in the description, so if you want to follow it, make sure you follow it really well, because I do think that maybe I messed up a few steps, and that is why it didn't turn out exactly how hers turned out. I am happy with how mine turned out, and I like that it was a starting point for me to go off of. So definitely go ahead and check out that tutorial that is in the description below. As always, if you have any comments for me, any suggestions, please comment them below. I'd love any kind of ideas that I can put into this project. It's, you know, I like the idea of it kind of being like a group project. If somebody has an idea of something I could throw in, maybe I could throw it in. So if you have any ideas, make sure you comment below and let me know. That's it for this video, so thank you for watching. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button below. And if you love the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. And until my next video, I'll see you later. Goodbye.